You're listening to the 2021 Gridiron Zeros Mock Draft 1.0.
All right, it is now time. Gridiron Zero Mock Draft 1.0 final version.
One of one. Yeah, we studied the tape and we did the grinding homework to make sure that we're getting this right the first go around. We're not doing 17 mocks. Forget it. This is the only mock you need to pay attention to.
Yeah,
just this
absolutely. All right, so I think we can just go one pick at a time and both share our what we think is going to happen. So do you want to hit the noise?
Let's do it.
So number one, obviously Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
Yeah. There's not much to say about that.
No, he's been the highest touted NFL draft prospect. I'm not even saying quarterback prospect.
Yeah.
Since like Andrew Luck back in like 2012. Like we've been hearing his name for a while now. Yeah. And Jacksonville literally got Urban Meyer because of this pick. Mm-hmm. They for a long time it was looking like the Jets were going to be the ones to get Trevor Lawrence.
Isn't that crazy?
The Jags stumbled their way into the next greatest quarterback prospect, presumably ever. So it's kind of amazing. I really was thinking about this morning. I know they took Blake Bortles in the draft. Like I think it was 2013 or 14 NFL draft. They took him in the top five. Mm-hmm. I think it was number 3 overall pick. But outside of him, I really can't in recent memory remember too many guys that they had the option to take and like this high up in the draft, and they seem like they're always picking high.
Yeah.
So it kind of blew my mind that like this is the first time in a while like we're talking about the Jags taking a top quarterback prospect.
Yeah, I mean, before Bortles,
they had
Gabbert. Oh yeah, true. Before him, Garrard, maybe.
I don't know if he's a first round pick. I don't remember. I don't think he was.
Yeah. And then after Bortles, just a mosh of names.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with Gardner Minshew. It's weird. I've barely heard his name mentioned at all. Like he's actually been kind of competent for them, and he's been surrounded by a garbage team for a long time. So it'll be interesting to see if the Jags can get some nice assets for Minshew and move into the Trevor Lawrence era. I think it's a slam dunk pick, and they're lucky to have him, and it's going to make them relevant for the first time in a while.
He's been the consensus number 1 pick since he destroyed Alabama in the national championship his freshman year. Without a doubt.
He did get kind of destroyed himself, though, by Justin Fields this last one.
Absolutely. Okay, so with the second overall pick, another consensus pick, everybody seems to be in agreement that the New York Jets will be taking Zach Wilson. I assume you had the same thing?
Yep. Zach Wilson, number 2. I think the writing was on the wall when they traded Darnold to the Panthers.
Nothing.
No. I mean, not nothing, but they didn't get like a Matthew Stafford type haul for him for sure. But he's got a lot more question marks, honestly. Yeah. So they got some draft capital for him. I like the pick. I think Zach Wilson looks like he's going to be like a star. Like he has that kind of
mentality.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to be a good NFL player for sure. But my question though with this pick is, New York's they traded Sam Darnold, who's supposed to be the savior of the Jets, right? They trade him to go get another quarterback.
Yeah.
This it just reminds me of the Lions trading Darius Slay to take Jeff Okudah. Like you're filling a hole, and this Jets team has holes everywhere.
Yeah. No, I mean, since they've drafted Sam Darnold, it's like what has improved?
Nothing really. I mean, and Darnold hasn't really even been the core problem with the team.
No. Definitely.
The Jets have so many other issues.
It's just the same old Jets. Like we say the same old Lions. It really seems like the same old Jets.
This is a very Jets pick, but hey, it will garner a lot of media attention and get asses in the seats to go watch the Jets play. And I think Zach Wilson maybe looks a little bit more like athletically explosive than Sam Darnold. I don't really have a huge analytic take on him or anything, but he does seem like he's going to be possibly an upgrade, but my whole thing is just that they have so many holes, and you're just swapping a guy in for a guy you already kind of maybe had locked in.
Yeah. It's like, it's exactly what we've been saying. They draft Zach Wilson, but at the same time, you're not really giving him the weapons that he needs around him. They have signed a couple people this offseason.
It's like the opposite of Darnold. Like Darnold was surrounded by crap the entire time that he was in New York, but now he's going to Carolina, and you're going to presume that they're going to give him tools around him to let him succeed. Whereas the previous Jets years, they never did that for him. And Zach Wilson's kind of coming to the same thing, it feels like a little bit.
Yeah. Who did they sign, though, at wide receiver? It was the Titans guy, right? Corey Davis?
Corey Davis. They brought in,
So
him and Denzel Mims, who they drafted last year. They got Herndon at tight end. I don't know who they got running back. Now they don't love Bell. They're going to have to do better this time around with Zach Wilson if they're really expecting to go anywhere with him. Like, it just, to me, it feels the same.
Spinning the wheels.
But he seems like maybe he's a better prospect, but I don't know by how much.
Yeah, no, it's just classic Jets.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a whole lot you can say about him. It's going to be a tough road ahead for Zach Wilson, considering what he has around him currently, which is not a whole lot. All right, number 3, I'm going to guess that we also have the same pick here. I think he's the betting favorite now as well. Mac Jones out of Alabama.
Yeah, Mac Jones. I have him at 3 also, purely based on the report saying that he is the most pro-ready quarterback in this draft class, that he's not a project guy. He's going to be ready to go day one.
I guess Kyle Shanahan really likes him too.
And his skill set, based on what I've seen, he kind of has like a little bit more of a like traditional like Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins kind of skill set rather than a Zach Wilson.
Picking up 75 yards in the ground game.
So that skill set, that screams a Kyle Shanahan quarterback to me, because whenever Kyle Shanahan has had super good success like with quarterbacks in the NFL, it's been that kind of passer. I think Jimmy G kind of fits into that mold as well. It's a little different, but Mac Jones seems like the no-brainer pick at this point. I know that there's when once you get past Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson in the draft, I think the quarterbacks are all kind of like, you can make an argument for any of them. I think Justin Fields is like the counter argument at the number 3 spot, but I just think everything that we've heard and seen to this point says Mac Jones is the pick.
Yeah. It's a little shocking to me because I really think that Justin Fields would flourish in Shanahan's offense. I could be wrong, but he had RG3 his rookie season, right? In Washington.
I believe so.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've seen what Shanahan can do with a mobile quarterback. And from what I've heard, Fields has got an absolute cannon of an arm. So it's a little shocking to me, but at the same time, when you're saying, Mac Jones is the most NFL-ready quarterback, and San Francisco is a team that needs to really hit the ground running and really start getting the most out of what they have now, it does make sense in that aspect.
They're in their window to go win a Super Bowl. And the thing with this pick is this needs to be an absolute slam dunk, because they gave up assets to get up here to 3 and pick their quarterback. And if this doesn't pan out, this honestly could spell the end of this regime in San Francisco if it all crumples down from here, because this was an expensive roll the dice pick to go get the guy. And John Lynch and Shanahan seem smart, and they seem like they know what they want and what they're doing. And we've been saying it all offseason, they have to address their backup quarterback spot, because Garoppolo, he won't stay healthy a full year. He just won't. He's never proven that he can.
Yeah.
So they need to have an option, and I think this is the way to go. Having a guy who's ready now. He's young, and if he needs to come in and play at a high level, like playoff football, I think he's the best guy for the job right now. So
yeah, I agree. 4th overall pick. This could be where it starts to get dicey, but I'm going to guess that we both have the same pick again. Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Tight end, Florida. We were just talking about a little while ago. Neither of us think he's going to escape the top 5.
No.
Atlanta specifically taking him.
I think the one other player that could be going here is Trey Lance. But again, I don't see that happening. Arthur Smith, the new head coach coming over from the Titans as offensive coordinator, knows how to use a tight end. He made Jonnu Smith a premier tight end. He made Delanie Walker a good tight end. Kyle Pitts could be lining up at wide receiver, but when you have Julio and Calvin Ridley, it's like, what's the point? So they put him in at tight end, and he's probably going to be one of the best offensive players this upcoming season.
Atlanta I think they're honestly a much more flawed team on defense than offense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But the thing is, when you can add Kyle Pitts to an offense that already features Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, adding him as a third pass catcher for Matt Ryan, the only way that they're going to be competitive this year is if they can just outscore you. Like if they want to make a run this year and try and like keep this current nucleus together and like continue to be like competitive for playoff spots and Super Bowls, like they're going to have something that puts them over the edge on other teams. And this makes a lot of sense to me. It helps them immediately right now. And I think the only counter argument for the number 4 here is that the Falcons probably don't want to be in the top 5 picking again in the near future. And when are they going to have a chance to go take Matt Ryan's successor? Because he's not a spring chicken. He is like, I think he's 36 or something like that. And I know quarterbacks these days are, they're playing in their
a lot longer,
early 40s, it seems like. But history has shown us that when quarterbacks fall off, they fall off very fast.
Yeah.
And we just don't know when that time is going to be. And the Falcons have been pretty bad since their Super Bowl appearance a couple years ago against the Patriots when that infamous meltdown happened. 28-3. But I think Kyle Pitts is the pick here, and they'll save quarterback prospects for maybe later in this draft or for years to come. See.
Again, I think we're going 6 for 6.
Yeah, I think this will be the last trade where we have probably the same pick here.
You think? Oh, interesting.
I think so.
I have Penei Sewell.
I also have Penei Sewell.
Yeah.
Man, this must be boring for the listeners so far, but no, I mean we've been talking about it.
I think
it's a consensus
the first
top 5.
6 are. Yeah. I really think the top 6 are a consensus.
Barring a trade at 4,
yeah,
it'd be pretty crazy to see that. But now Penei Sewell has been touted as the top offensive lineman prospect,
generational talent.
There's no question he'll be the first one off the board. Joe Burrow coming off of a ACL injury, like that's something really bad to have your rookie year.
Yeah.
And they spent the number 1 overall pick on him. So I know that the counter argument would be that they could take Jamar Chase, his former weapon at LSU, but I think if you see Penei Sewell there, he's going to be an elite offensive tackle for 10 years plus and just lock it up. Like they need to address their offensive line. It's not a good O-line. You have a top prospect quarterback in Joe Burrow that needs help, and they've got enough help at receiver to make it work. And it's a deep draft class in receivers too if they wanted to go get someone later. So
I mean, this really, like, I see some mock drafts saying Jamar Chase at 5. This seems like a no-brainer to me. It really does, because you can take Jamar Chase, but how are you going to give him the ball when Burrow's on his back in 2 seconds every play? You're not going to be able to. So it really seems like a no-brainer. They're taking Penei Sewell at 5.
You're in a division too with the Browns' lethal defensive line.
Yeah.
The Ravens always have a good defense. The Steelers always have a good defense. Like
the Steelers have best defense in the league. So you
need to protect him. You have to make that your priority right now. And receivers, you can get them cheap. You can get them later. Like you can get value.
And they have good ones.
Yeah, they're not starving for a wide receiver on the roster. I think adding a Jamar Chase would be a luxury pick, and they would be ignoring an obvious need for their team.
100%. All right. So this is where you think the end of the consensus is.
Well, I mean, maybe we'll be aligned on this one, but at 7, I can definitely say we're not going to be aligned because I got something happening at 7. So
it's funny because I actually had something happening at 7 too.
All right,
so
maybe we apologize.
Jamar Chase at 6.
Jamar Chase
makes the most sense.
Makes the most sense.
They add another weapon for Tua.
Tua needs a number 1 legit weapon that isn't Devontae Parker because that dude can't. He can't be consistently good.
Yeah, he can't be consistently good. Absolutely true.
And you know what? Like, this is the scenario, too, where let's say for some reason the Bengals did take Jamar Chase. Dolphins would take a Penei Sewell. Sorry, that's going to happen. Like, these two could be interchangeable. these three really could be Pitts, Sewell, Chase.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
they're all going to be in this range.
Yeah, 4 to 6.
These seem like slam dunk picks for each of these spots. And if the Dolphins really want to truly evaluate Tua, they need to give him more to work with. And Jamar Chase will fit that bill for sure.
100%. And I mean, again, this seems like a no-brainer. They need a solidified wide receiver one. It makes the most sense. Again, our mock drafts are lining up, but when it comes to this draft, it just seems so solidified already.
Well, let's change it up a little bit here then at 7.
I'm going to actually guess that we have the same trade.
Well, we both have a trade happening here, so that's already.
I'm going to guess that the Lions trade down to 15 with the New England Patriots.
Wasn't my trade.
Oh, really?
But
okay.
I do have the Lions trading out.
Okay, so why don't you go first?
All right. At the number 7 pick, I have the Washington football team selecting Trey Lance, quarterback, North Dakota State. I have the Lions trading back to the 19 spot. And the Lions in this trade receive, so that's the 19th pick they receive. They receive a 4th round pick this year, and they also receive next year's 1st round pick from Washington for them to move up to 7 and go get Trey Lance.
Interesting.
And the reason that I have this, where it is because Washington. Well, first off, they're not taking Justin Fields because they would not dare take another Ohio State quarterback. That ain't gonna happen. Yeah. That's not gonna happen. But we're talking about how Trey Lance is going to be a project guy, right?
Yeah.
They have Fitzpatrick, and they seem like they're happy there. And I've just been saying the whole offseason, fine. I don't like it, but fine. But make sure you get someone.
Yeah.
And I think that he, on paper, has a lot of those tangibles we're talking about for a future NFL quarterback, like star prospect. And he's going to need some time on the bench. I think Fitzpatrick gives them a solution right now. He's not going to need to step in. You can kind of let him develop. And I think of the remaining guys, Justin Fields aside, because they can't take another Ohio State quarterback. Yeah. They can't. I think he's one of the most spicy quarterback prospects on the board at this point.
Interesting. Okay. I like that. All right. So I actually have Detroit trading down to 15 with the New England Patriots. Detroit receives the 15th overall pick and the 4th round pick. I have 17th overall, which is definitely not the case. The 4th round pick
from this year's draft.
In this year's draft, and New England just receives the 7th overall pick in this year's draft.
Oh, wow. So you have them moving down that many spots for a 4th rounder being added?
Yeah.
Well, I have them getting a second 1st round pick because that's a premium pick. So that's a top 10 draft pick where there's still QBs on the board.
But they're moving down to 19th. We're only moving down to 15th.
I still think you're selling low, but
could be. But New England always comes out on top when they're doing a trade.
Well, all the evidence I've seen is that Brad Sherlock Holmes always comes out on top because
that's fair. I have New England taking Justin Fields at 7. Sitting behind Cam Newton for a year, probably not even the entire year. I think Cam will probably shit the bed pretty quickly and not play to the New England standard, and they'll bring in Justin Fields, and I think that he'll flourish in that system.
There have been reports about New England being very interested in Justin Fields, and I believe they attended his second pro day that he had, and there have been some trade rumors. I like the pick for sure. I think that he's at this point the quarterback that they would want. I tend to agree with you there. Let me ask you this. I'm not asking this because I have a hammered down opinion on it, but there has been Justin Fields' camp came out and said that he's been dealing with epilepsy.
Yeah.
Now, do you think this hurts his draft stock?
No.
I don't either.
Not in my opinion.
I don't have a super hard stance on it. I could see it going either way. I could see that kind of scaring a couple teams, but ultimately, I think he's got a lot to offer. He's been in the big games. He's a physical freak. You could argue that he could go, a 3 for Mac Jones. I mean, it's
absolutely, you
can make an argument for him. So I think New England coming up to 7 here, and it's so not a New England move is what I'm thinking. But this offseason has been a very not New England offseason.
That's what I was going to say. This seems like the time where the Patriots are pushing all their chips into the middle and saying, all right, let's do this.
I like it in that sense then. I mean, I like my Washington trade a little bit more.
Yeah, and
But,
I think that that's completely possible too.
But regardless, I think we both want the Lions to trade back
Yeah.
from 7 here. And
So I didn't ask you, and we're not getting to 19, but at 19, do you have somebody?
no,
Okay.
because I think the guys that I would want them to have are all going to be gone.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they would do in 19, to be honest with you. This kind of depends where the boards are at,
Okay. Let's see if we stay not aligned at 8 with Carolina. Who do you have?
I have them taking Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle.
I have the same exact pick.
Yeah,
Makes the most sense.
we've talked about him a bit here because I've been harping that I want the Lions to take him at 7, but he's the second best prospect. And I thought I heard a stat saying that he has not allowed a single sack in his collegiate career.
That's absurd.
Which is nuts.
Yeah.
Now, the Panthers need to surround Darnold with some help, and something he's never had in New York. I think
He's got weapons.
Yeah, he's got enough receivers to work with.
Yeah.
I think you can maybe say that they could take one of those guys there. But I think this is like not a luxury pick. This is like a pick that the Panthers need to build this nucleus up, and I think it makes the most sense. There's not a ton of defensive players that are sitting here right now that make a lot of sense for them, to be honest with you. Maybe Micah Parsons. They don't have Luke Kuechly anymore, but I don't know.
Still got some good linebackers on that team too.
I think this is the pick at 8.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It makes the most sense. You got to protect Darnold, and they have pretty much the rest of the offense figured out at this point. So
Agreed. And giving McCaffrey a better line to run.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're definitely going to be not on the same page with this pick. I have Denver taking Trey Lance at 9.
I have Denver taking Justin Fields.
Yeah, there you go.
So
that one's interesting to me. I actually have not seen anybody in their mock draft having Justin Fields at 9. I might be alone there.
I almost had a situation where there was a trade to this pick for New England or someone to come to Justin Fields, because I think he made a good point for that. Honestly, I was just too lazy to work out the details. That number 7 pick took a lot of time.
Right.
But no, I think Denver needs to address their quarterback situation. Drew Lock seems very average, and Justin Fields or a Trey Lance would probably be an upgrade, presumably. I will say for Trey Lance, like, he's going to need time to sit behind Drew Lock or whoever.
You actually put this pick into my head because of what you said a little bit earlier, or in an earlier podcast, where Vic Fangio, he's in his 3rd season. They kind of need to get going. This is the project guy that keeps him around.
So he does the Bob Quinn failure the right way, and has a reason to stick around.
Yeah,
right. And this is Denver's new GM's first draft pick, George Payton.
So John
Elway's not making this pick.
Yeah,
and that alone, a quarterback pick that John Elway's not making, makes me trust it more.
Good for them.
Yeah. I think they're just going quarterback here. They have to right the ship here. And both these guys have more upside for sure. I feel bad for Drew Lock, but he hasn't done enough. No. He's had almost 2 full years. I think he had a year and a half basically. He just has not done enough to cement himself as a starter. So
the other thing that I really want to say about Trey Lance is what's super interesting. Somebody listed out a list or named out a bunch of quarterbacks that are similar in the idea that they don't have a whole lot of college football games under their belt. Like, I don't think Trey Lance played 2 full seasons.
I think he missed out last year because of COVID too. I think that he did not finish, or he didn't play last year, I believe.
So I remember one of the names being Mitchell Trubisky, and the whole point of the names were like, these guys did not pan out in the NFL, at least to this point. So Trey Lance is a huge question mark, but I definitely do think that the Broncos will roll the dice and try to get him. At 10, this one, from everything that I was reading, this one seemed to be a pretty consensus pick, unless they trade down. Dallas Cowboys select the cornerback out of Alabama, Patrick Surtain. I want to say is his last name.
Yeah, I have Patrick Surtain going here too. I think that I've seen some mocks where they're kind of talking about this corner pick could be interchangeable based on just the skill sets of some of these guys. But
the other one that I'm seeing is JC Horn.
Yeah, that was the other one that they were like mocked to take in a lot of ones that I saw. But just don't overthink it. He's the best corner on the board. They need help there. Their offense is stacked.
I think their other corner is from Alabama too, and was recently drafted. So they're like, all right, get these two back together,
pairing them up.
Yeah, and pairing them up together. Jerry Jones is going to do what Jerry Jones wants.
He apparently is in love with Kyle Pitts and is salivating at the option of getting him. But the thing is that he would have to pay an arm and a leg to get up to 4 to take him 100%. Because he ain't going to be there past 4. We don't think. So,
but I mean, like that trade actually makes some logical sense.
That would be that would be the best offense in the NFL.
Yeah,
if the
from Atlanta's side, like that makes sense for them, I think, because if you trade back to 10, you're probably going to get one. You're probably taking the first defensive player off the board.
Well, they need help at corner too.
Yeah,
there was
the whole defense.
There was a rumor last year that they were going to try and trade up to get Okuda.
Yeah.
So they've been looking at corner for a while. We should have let them do, honestly. But so I think that's a pretty easy pick at 10 for Dallas.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the 11th overall pick, the New York Giants. I have them taking a surprising Jalen Waddle.
Oh, wow.
At Alabama. I think that they solidify their offense. They're good with it at this point. I think the other alternative could be that they take, two alternatives. Apparently, they really need an edge rusher. So I'm probably going to butcher this name.
Kwity Paye from Michigan.
Yep. King of butchering names on this podcast. Kwity Paye from Michigan. I think the other alternative.
Let me before you get into it, because I think maybe you might hit on it, and who I have for them. We're not aligned in this pick.
Okay.
I think at 11, the Giants are going to take Micah Parsons. I think he is going off the board here at 11.
I was not going to say him.
I think that their offense is fine. I think that they added Kenny Galladay. They already have like Darius Slayton.
They have some
Evan Ingram, Saquon. Yeah. They have enough to work with on offense. And I think a receiver, you could make an argument for it, but you just pay Kenny Galladay a bag of money to be here. So I think the pick is going to be defense, and he's the best player on the board for defense right now. Their linebacking core, I think it's pretty good, but I think that he would set it over to make it like maybe elite. So
he can rush off the edge too. So
I think him here, this fits his value. He's arguably the best defensive player in the draft. The Cowboys took a corner, but like they really need a corner, so that's why they're doing that. I think it's a smart pick for the Giants here to just add another huge big body back there in the defense and just keep that thing rocking.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that pick. I had them taking Jalen Waddle. I think it just elevates that offense to a whole new level.
Who was your third guy?
The third one was an offensive lineman. I don't know who. The third one I have on my list is again butchering the name, Aleha Vera Tucker of USC.
Yeah, I've seen his name too.
Yeah. So I think that's a small chance that they do that.
I think they've addressed their offensive line enough in the last couple off seasons.
Could be.
And then they took a first top 5 pick at offensive line last year. Well, I think it was Andrew Thomas. I think was the pick. Like they've put resources into it. I think a game-changing linebacker is sitting there at 11, and no one's even sniffed them yet. Like I think that's just too good to pass up for a team that they kind of have a luxury spot right now. They're kind of solid on most spots of their team, and they're just picking. This is gravy on top right here. Yeah. I personally think they're in really good shape.
Yeah, I mean that's the same exact thing with mine. Jalen Waddle is a luxury pick,
kind of like a Cowboys CD Lamb kind of pick from last year.
Yeah. So except their defense is actually competent at this point compared to the Cowboys, who probably should have taken a defensive player last year. But I think Jalen Waddle would be like the perfect 1-2 punch to Kenny Galladay. He's a very possession type wide receiver. He's going to go up. He's going to catch contested balls, and Jalen Waddle is going to add to that speed. He's also a phenomenal punt returner, kick returner. So,
do you put Darius Slayton in like the slot then? Is that what you do with him?
Oh, yeah, I mean, you could put Darius Slayton outside and put Waddle in the slot. I think Waddle would probably be an extremely good slot wide receiver. So yeah, that's who I have the Giants taking. Who do you have Philadelphia selecting at 12?
I have Jalen Waddle going to the Eagles at 12.
Okay, interesting.
And he's a speedster.
Yeah.
He reminds me of D-Jax in his prime in Philly, and they've really botched taking receivers at this point.
Yeah,
but right now in my mock, he would be the second receiver off the board.
Mm-hmm. Devontae Smith probably doesn't win the Heisman if Jalen Waddle doesn't get injured.
I think Philly just needs weapons for Hurts, kind of similarly to Tua here, just to see what you really have with him year two. And they got to get this right, man. They have really just done a bad job these last couple of years surrounding their quarterback with weapons, and he's just like a Ferrari sitting there. So I think that's the pick at 12.
I have them selecting the Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith. I think this is a super Eagles pick. Because while he is, he's kind of being disrespected in regards that he won the Heisman Trophy.
What more do I got to do?
Yeah, like what more do I have to do? Obviously the big question mark around him is his size. He's not very tall. He is 170 pounds.
It's a big knock on him coming out of the draft.
Huge knock. So I mean, a lot of people are questioning, like, can he take the big hits in the NFL? Can he stay healthy? That's why I think that this is such an Eagles pick. So I think
chip on your shoulder kind of Philly guy. I can see that.
Yeah, chip on the shoulder, but also like just super big question mark. Because I mean, like that's just how Philly drafts. You know, like they took who was the wide receiver they took last year?
Arcega-Whiteside. Or no, that was the year before. They took
like Rager or something like that.
Jalen Reagor.
Yeah, over Justin Jefferson.
Oh.
So, yeah, this just seems like a very Philadelphia Eagles pick at 12.
So you're saying not good pick?
I'm saying like they're hit and miss. You know, like he could be. I really do think that he is a good wide receiver, and I've seen mock drafts where Detroit takes him at 7, and while I wouldn't be extremely thrilled about that, that's a very solid wide receiver. And for a team that really needs one. So just like the idea that, you know, he's 170 pounds, he's a small guy. Who knows? I have to imagine that it's going to be tough for him to stay healthy. So, yeah, I just think that he's going to be a super interesting rookie season for him.
You know, what we're talking about here surrounding Jalen Hurts' weapons, but actually the Eagles came out and said that it's going to be a competition. So really they're surrounding Joe Flacco with weapons. He's the future in Philly.
Oh, God. That's so terrible.
13, the LA Chargers.
This one seemed like a pretty consensus pick, too. You don't think so?
Well, I have them taking Devonta Smith here.
Oh, interesting.
Pretty much for all the reasons you just said. But
it seems like a Chargers pick.
Yeah, and it's for this situation, it's a little different, though, because the Chargers actually have a pretty good receiving core.
Yeah.
I will say they're slowly starting to get up there in age a little bit. Keenan Allen's closer to 30, I think, now. Yeah. Mike Williams was a first-round pick by them, who's flashed, but also
he has not been able to stay healthy.
So adding Devonta Smith here for Justin Herbert, just like an electric weapon for him, and I think you can kind of put him in a lot of different spots on their offense right now. I think that he's just some gravy for that team. Like, their offense looked really good last year, and they're only going to get better. They're seemingly snake-bitten. They can't win games, but I think this would be a really money pick to help out Justin Herbert. And I don't think there's a ton of picks here that you got to say the Chargers need. They're kind of one of those teams like the Giants that they're pretty solid seemingly on a lot of these spots. I think offensive line is maybe the one spot that you could say that they could use some more help. And I forgot the name of the third guy you had going off the board.
I actually misspoke. So
okay, well you could take an offensive lineman here too, but I think if you're sitting here and Devonta Smith is just there, like he fell in your lap. It's like a CeeDee Lamb situation. Mm-hmm. Just take him. Good for you.
So yeah, I had Vera Tucker as my next offensive lineman. It's actually Christian Darrisaw. is my next offensive lineman, who the Chargers end up taking the left tackle. And I think that he is just the missing piece of the puzzle. He's going to be able to protect Herbert a lot better, and he's going to be able to, provide Herbert with the right amount of time. Austin Eckler probably gets, a good amount of carries this year, so he running behind a good offensive line, he'll probably shine. I think this is a home run pick for the Chargers, because
you're locking up that last spot.
Yeah, you're locking up that last spot. You said you can make the argument that is the one place that they probably need something. I think it is really a home run hit for the Chargers at 13 if they take Christian Dare. So
they're in a good spot. They're picking a pretty high spot in the draft, honestly, and they don't have a lot of holes. So whoever they pick here, they're going to get good value.
Yeah. For 14 is where I have Aleha Vera Tucker. Again, probably mispronouncing his first name.
That's a good pick. I kind of like that pick. I have someone different, but I kind of like that pick.
So that is because they lost the great Riley Reef,
who is now on the Bengals.
Yeah, and that's the one thing where people are like, oh, that's why they could take Jamar Chase, because they have Riley Reef. Yeah, they have Riley Reef, and it's like, no, get out, leave. I think the Minnesota Vikings fill that hole with Vera Tucker. I think that they need to not only provide protection for Kirk Cousins, but they also need to allow Dalvin Cook to be Dalvin Cook. And they need to keep him healthy, which means that they need to get him away from defensive linemen. So I think that that's a smart pick for Minnesota. Who do you have?
Like I said, I do like that pick because that offensive line definitely needs some help. But I have Minnesota taking Kwity Paye out of Michigan here, the defensive end.
I like that one too.
The thing is that they tried Yannick Ngakoue last year, didn't work out.
Didn't pan out. Yeah.
He's not on the team anymore. Their defense is sneaky old in a lot of spots, and Kwity Paye is, besides Micah Parsons, really the only pass rusher who's even in the conversation at this point. I think it makes a lot of sense for them to start to reload that side of the ball for them. But I could be talked into what you're selling here with an offensive line, because that needs help too. So I think either one of those picks would be good for them. But I have to take Kwity Paye at 14.
Okay, interesting.
This is my spiciest pick coming up at 15, by the way.
Okay. This
is my spiciest pick in the whole thing.
Oh, interesting. One last thing about Minnesota, that front seven is definitely sneaky old. So I can definitely see them getting somebody out there that can actually, get to the quarterback.
But they're in a similar spot as a lot of these teams in the league right now. Like, they've got a nucleus of players in a window, and they got to get moving here. Like, they got to last year was such a flub by them.
Yeah.
It's just it is such a shame that they let that talented roster just go to waste for a year. And these window years that they come and go fast, and you got to capitalize. And
absolutely,
either one of these picks is just going to help them be competitive now, and that's the kind of pick that they need in this draft.
All right, you got to lay the spicy pick on me. What do you got?
All right, so at 15, I still have New England. Here. I have New England taking Kellen Mond at 15, Texas A&M.
I don't see that happening.
I have it happening here. I was between him and Kyle Trask from Florida, to be honest with you. These guys are...
They're both reaching hard.
They're talking that these guys are day 2 picks, most likely.
Yeah.
But I foresee a Jordan Love, Lamar Jackson kind of pick here. I think that they're not going to move up. I think they're just going to get one of these two guys because they have some tangibles that they both like, or they both have that they like. They don't need to give a bunch of assets. And similarly to if they did move up and get a guy like you had proposed at 7, they have Cam Newton right now. They can let these guys who are definitely not day 1 starters, but they have things that make them an attractive draft pick. You can let them learn under Cam, take their time with them. Kellen Mond is sneaky, kind of sneaky, been getting a lot of coverage during this draft period.
I've been hearing a lot about him.
I've been hearing his name more and more. He's got a lot of buzz. He's huge. he's like a big boy, and like I think the one criticism I keep seeing of him is that he looks like super stiff, like when he's moving around the pocket, he looks like he's made of like stone or something. But like he's got an absolute cannon. He's had a pretty good career at Texas A&M, and I think he's the best quarterback left on the board at this stage. I think Kyle Trask is good too, but Kellen Mond is just much more of a physical, like, I don't know, prospect over Trask at this point. So I have them doing that at 15.
I think that New England drafting one of those two guys is possible. Don't see it at 15. Because
that's fair. It's a spicy pick. I'm just like,
absolutely. I see them trading up into the early second round and drafting them there, which I think is completely possible. 15 is Detroit in my list because they traded back with New England. I have them taking my personal favorite, Micah Parsons.
So you constructed your entire mock
I
to just
think so.
fall to the
I
Lions.
wasn't trying to do that, but I think subconsciously I probably was.
Okay.
So I love Micah Parsons, best linebacker in the draft. Detroit desperately needs somebody that can tackle the opposition.
Oh, they need a linebacker.
It is so incredibly frustrating to watch this linebacking core tackle because they cannot do it, which is so preposterous.
The 2020 Detroit Lions linebackers might have been some of the worst of it.
It honestly might have been the worst linebacking core assembled in NFL history.
Putting him on there is an immediate upgrade.
Somebody who is going to get to the ball carrier and tackle him.
And I think he could be here at 15.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just because what we talked about earlier in the show with the bets, it's like there's question marks about him.
Absolutely.
And like there's teams that don't necessarily need him.
Yeah.
So he could be here at 15 if the Lions have the chance. If the Lions got him at 15, we'd be throwing Brad Holmes a parade.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he just he finessed that draft. If he got draft capital
and got our guy,
even if it's a 4th round pick like you had proposed, but you got back and got the guy that you wanted, then like that's perfect. Like that's the way you do the draft. So I totally think that would be a slam dunk pick for Brad Holmes if we were sitting at 15 and he was there. No doubt.
Yeah. So that's a best case scenario for me, in our opinion, or in our case, in my opinion.
Well, I like this mock. I feel like we were aligned on quite a few picks here, but I think there was enough variation. But as we got a little bit later into it, I think as we kind of touched on, a lot of these picks are kind of seemingly set in stone. Like
definitely,
hate to say it that way because it
opinion,
probably won't happen.
The first 6.